Love and sexual desire are two of mankind's most powerful emotions. And ties of kinship and family, rooted in sexual relationships, shape all cultures. In every society, there are strong taboos about sex and love, and severe penalties if they're broken. In Australia, swinging couples defy vows of marriage and monogamy by publicly swapping sex partners. While they claim their lifestyle is harmless fun, for this woman, it meant pain and the end of her relationship.
I almost went insane. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it.
And in a remote Chinese province, locals are renowned for their sexual boldness and lifestyle of free love. When taboos about love and sex are challenged, some say the very foundations of society are put at risk. Romantic love can take many forms. For some, their ultimate expression is marriage, the undertaking of a sacred vow to cherish one person for life and raise a family together. For many, the family unit is sacred and inviolate. Mankind's most fundamental social group, underpinned by sexual monogamy.
Monogamy is the model for most Western relationships because in our culture's history, monogamy is the pattern from the Bible. And as a consequence, it is in our laws, in our religious traditions, in our societies. And we don't break away from that.
Sex is a strong instinctive urge, yet sexual relationships are also influenced and defined by culture. And while sexual values may differ, they lie at the core of all societies and are protected by powerful taboos.
Sexuality is one of those extremely compressed areas of human life in which so many factors come together. Love, marriage, emotions, children, power, money. And so there's a lot at stake, and society does its very most to regulate it.
Yet some couples in the West break the norm of marital monogamy by sharing their spouse with others, even with strangers they've just met. In their eyes, they're still loving and emotionally faithful to one another.
While some guys are having sex with their secretaries behind their wife's back, my husband would be having sex with our secretary in front of me.
While these couples say they're being sexually honest, to most, they're adulterers. Sexually promiscuous swingers who defy hallowed bonds of matrimony. Sydney, Australia, the city where Tanya and Ray Partridge first met 20 years ago.
It wouldn't have been a month and we knew we were pretty well right for each other, and yeah, it's been like that for 20 years.
Now married with a teenage son, they're as much in love as when they first met.
Well, people comment on it, how strong our relationship is and how easy we are together. Our love is so strong.
What sets this couple apart from much of society is their sex life. They're swingers. They have non-monogamous sex, but they do it as a couple.
You're focusing on your own partner, but you've got multiple hands doing different things to you. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? It's incredible.
There is no separate bed, separate parts. We're together, even though we're sort of with other people. But coffee would be good.
Would be good.
They went to their first swingers party 4 years ago, after being persuaded by friends who were already into the swinging lifestyle.
I'd been a bit hesitant before because I'd heard a couple of stories from someone which was like, you know, that's not my thing. It's sort of, you know, it sounds really sleazy and all that sort of thing. And it just, yeah, it wasn't like that at all.
Tanya and Ray say they're in love. But for many, swinging flies in the face of marriage, monogamy, and family.
Monogamy is a model in human relationships largely because human infants are so difficult to take care of. And as a consequence of the difficulty of taking care of them, it really takes two parents to do the job. And so throughout evolutionary history, we've seen humans basically tend toward a monogamous relationship.
Studies into the swinging lifestyle argue that Ray and Tanya's sex life defies cultural concepts of what a loving relationship should be.
Swinging has taken on a taboo element in society's perception of it because it so dramatically challenges our fundamental assumptions about what love is, what the family is, and monogamy, that you can't separate love and sex.
Sometimes sexual experimentation can exact an emotional price: jealousy.
I think the first time that I saw a lady having oral sex with Ray, I did get jealous. But, you know, you grow out of it. I know that he's there for me and he's coming back to me.
For many swingers, jealousy is less of a concern than being exposed and ostracized by the rest of society. Some even wear masks at sex parties to avoid recognition.
Couples stop swinging, surprisingly, not because of jealousy, but there is another more important thing, and that is the fear of discovery, because it is so stigmatized and often harassed by the police. People will lose their jobs, they'll lose their everything if they're caught and identified as swingers.
While some swingers carefully guard their privacy, Tanya and Ray are open about their sexual lifestyle. They don't hide it from their 19-year-old son, Kane.
When my parents go to parties, I don't really ask questions about it. It doesn't really bother me.
Nor do Ray and Tanya conceal anything from their families.
I don't say anyone's jealous of it, but I think they would be fearful to do the things that we do because they're not as open.
Yeah.
We don't hide anything from each other.
They want to push their sexual boundaries further by having what they call a full swap at a swingers club. Ray and Tanya are known as soft swingers. While they've had sex together in the presence of other couples, they've never fully swapped sexual partners.
I haven't found a guy that I was attracted to enough to actually want to have sex with him as such, because like Ray does that for me.
At the moment, we haven't fully swapped. That's probably the only thing that we haven't done.
We've got all these couples, but you don't actually know what couple wants to actually swap with you for intercourse, or what couple is just happy to play.
For Ray and Tanya, playing means anything short of full intercourse.
We just said that when we both feel comfortable, we'll experience that together.
Tanya and Ray claim their marriage is sexually and emotionally strong. Yet while there are no statistics, it's argued that swinging can damage relationships, resulting in divorce, especially if the relationship is emotionally vulnerable.
If you go into swinging to save a failing marriage, it will not work, and it'll be a disaster.
Many consider swinging as sexual betrayal, just like adultery. But swingers don't regard themselves as adulterers, because their extramarital sex involves mutual consent.
Adultery and swinging are very different. Adultery is done in secret. It's done without the consent of the partner. It involves deceit. And when and if it's discovered is devastating to relationships. And I might add that studies show today, they differ, but anywhere from 40 to 60% of married people have an affair at some time in their marriage, and that is a large proportion.
In addition to their swinging, Ray and Tanya visit sex shops to spice up their sex life. While many may consider swinging adulterous behavior, this couple argues swapping partners actually reduces their odds of having an affair.
It's a lot better than finding out Ray's having an affair with somebody or vice versa. It's better to be doing something that we're enjoying together rather than going behind just someone's back.
Many argue swinging can be just as destructive to a relationship as adultery. Yet Tanya and Ray claim they can separate their emotional love for each other from their feelings of lust for sexual partners outside their marriage.
Swingers maintain that they swing to avoid having affairs because of the problem of habituation, of tiring of the same sexual partner over a number of years. Swinging is an attempt to maintain the emotional relationship and yet seek variety and satisfaction in a sexual relationship without the deceit.
And while their sex life is taboo for many, Ray and Tanya want to take it one step further by traveling to a swingers club in Brisbane to have sexual intercourse with another couple. However, Ray believes he is more open to the idea of swapping partners than Tanya.
As we progress in our relationship, in my view, I think we eventually will meet the couple we will completely swap with. And I think the bridge is easier for me to overcome than Tanya at the moment.
There are dangers when one partner is keener on the swinging lifestyle than the other, and it can cause emotional damage, even marriage breakdown.
There is often a level of coercion, perhaps not at the beginning, but perhaps, it could be later on, where one partner really is putting a lot of pressure on the other one to engage in it. And of course, at the extreme end of that kind of behaviour, you could see it as emotionally or physically abusive.
Despite any emotional risks, tonight Ray and Tanya intend to have sexual intercourse with virtual strangers.
You get that nervous tension when you're getting to an establishment at a club, and when you enter the door, you get tingles leading up to it.
Ray and Tanya say there are few sexual limits to their relationship, as long as they do it together. Lake Lugu in remote southwest China, home to the Moswa people for more than 1600 years. The Moswa have their own religion, customs, language and song. In a village at the foot of a sacred mountain, locals sing of the goddess Ji Mu, in a place where women hold sway. This is a society governed by grandmothers like 78-year-old Kataduma Aya.
The mother is the most important person, the most important thing in the world. Because without a mother, you cannot have life. They're the ones who nurture and give birth.
Kataduma is a matriarch, the female head of her extended family.
It's my responsibility in the family to delegate jobs and look after the family's money.
Kataduma's son, 37-year-old Suna, is the village chief. Yet in many ways, his mother wields more power than he does.
Taking an order from a mother is different than taking an order from a woman in the West. It is a very natural thing here, because of our deep respect and love for our mothers.
Like most Moswa men, Suna will live with his mother and his blood relatives for his entire life.
Most men live with their mother because she is the most respected person, and they don't want to leave their mother alone.
But as he does most nights, Suna slips away after dinner to walk to another house to be with his lover and share her bed. But he's not alone. Back at Suna's mother's house, his sister, Ta'er, waits for her own lover, who will spend the night with her. And under the cover of darkness, other men in the village quietly steal away for a night of what some outsiders consider free love. Some men even creep up walls to enter their lover's bedroom to avoid prying eyes. Only women are allowed private bedrooms. Men can stay the night, but must return to their mother's home after daybreak. Suna has 2 children with his lover, Jima, but the couple mostly live separate lives. It's a relationship the Moswa call a walking marriage. There are no wedding vows and no matrimonial ceremony. This seemingly casual sexual relationship has given the Moswa a notorious reputation with outsiders.
That's part of the media hype around the Moswa, is that they're practitioners of free love. And in the eyes of many of the tourists coming to visit the Moswa, this means they can walk up to a woman, snap their fingers, and she'll jump into bed with them. And that's absurd.
Local and overseas tourists visit the darkened streets near Lake Lugu looking for sex. Prostitutes from outside the area cater to the tourists. The Moswa believe this illegal sex trade is hurting their culture.
Outsiders come for and pay for sex, and women of different ethnic groups come to work here as prostitutes. They spread diseases, and it's very bad for the locals. It's going to ruin the traditional culture. This is not a walking marriage. It's prostitution.
The Moswa's walking marriage and reputation for free love has alienated them within the wider Han Chinese culture. And while the practice is known as a walking marriage, there is actually no word for marriage in the Moswa language.
There is no word for marriage, although there is a word for father.
Suna and his partner Jima have 2 children, 11-year-old Duje and 13-year-old daughter Dashi. But Suna plays little part in raising them. That job is done by his lover's brothers.
In Moswa families, men pay more attention to their sister's children than their own.
Even though he's the father, if Suna raised his children, it would upset Jima's household and her brother.
The father doesn't have the responsibility to bring up the child, but he can help out. But if the father does too many things, then the child's uncles will feel unhappy.
The Moswa idea of family may seem unusual, but extended families offer a wide support network.
In an extended family, there's a good chance that there will be several adults around, several adults with time to give attention to and care of the children, to pass the children along if they're being difficult or if the adult is tired, etc. So some people believe that children get more care, more attention.
Moswa beliefs about family and relationships set them apart from other cultures. In other societies, the biggest event in many people's lives is their wedding day. But for the Moswa, it's their coming-of-age celebration, where a child enters adulthood. Now that she is 13, Suna's daughter, Darshi, will have her coming of age tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first day of the Chinese Lunar New Year, when children participate in a ceremony marking their entry to adulthood. Darshi's family pray for her. Her aunt wears the traditional adult clothes that from tomorrow Darshi will be able to wear.
After a girl reaches 13 and has her coming of age ceremony, she is now a woman and can have her own room.
Even though she's only 13, having her own room means Darshi will be able to choose and entertain her own sexual partners. In America, Australia and much of Europe, swinging is legal, and there are more than 3,000 swinging clubs worldwide. In the United States, it's estimated there are nearly 4 million swingers, and their profile is anything but socially rebellious.
Swingers, their demographic characteristics are they tend to be Republican, they tend to be conservative. 90% of swingers are white. Doctors, lawyers, school teachers, judges, police officers, pillars of the community.
In Brisbane, Australia, Brian and Lisa Horn run a swingers club for couples. Sexual experimentation has always been a part of their life together.
We've pretty much done everything over 17 years. There is nothing much that we haven't done.
Brian and Lisa have been married for 12 years. For the past 4, they've run Couples International.
People don't come here for sex all the time. People come here to have human conversation and to be a little naughty if they want. That's it. And you know what, if it leads to a little bit more, great. But they decided as a couple.
Up to 40 couples attend Couples International each Friday and Saturday night. No one under 18 is allowed inside, and safe sex is the club rule.
We here promote safe sex. We have condoms, lube, those materials on hand.
To outsiders, swinging may seem like a relationship without rules, but swingers set strict guidelines for their sexual behavior.
All couples set their boundaries in this lifestyle. If I say to him, okay, I'm leaving, and I go out of the room, he must cease everything he's doing and follow me.
Swinging doesn't just abandon accepted rules about monogamy and marriage. It replaces them with its own set of codes.
There are some rules involved in swinging, and the most important rule is that neither partner becomes emotionally involved with other persons. It's always done in the presence, or at least with the knowledge of the other partner. It's never done in secret.
Push it down a bit, I need to see the bed. Bit more.
Lisa believes swinging makes for a more honest relationship.
We would never cheat because there's no need to. There's absolutely no need to. We do everything together.
Wife sharing and wife swapping has been found throughout history, in ancient Rome and among the Inuit of the icy subarctic. Some say modern swinging was forged in dangerous times, more than 60 years ago.
The lore within the swinging community is that swinging started in World War II among fighter pilots whose life expectancies were very short. And supposedly the purpose of it was, if I'm killed in combat, someone will be close enough to my wife to take care of her. And it expanded out of the military then in the 50s and 60s and spread to the general population.
The advent of the AIDS virus is believed to have caused a decline in swinging, beginning in the 1990s.
It clearly went out of favor, And the reasons for that are probably complex, but one of them was the rise of HIV, sexually transmitted diseases, the threat of intrusion of sexual risk into couples, and that was a very, very important change that occurred in society that caused people to be more careful about their casual sexual behavior.
Despite health risks, there are still millions in the United States alone who take part in swinging. And while to outsiders, Brian and Lisa's sex life may appear to revolve around casual sex, they believe swinging is all about being a loving couple.
It's not about having sex with other people. It's about us enhancing our relationship as a couple. We make love together. We have sex with other people.
The concept of separating emotional love from sex is a key component of swinging.
Monogamy is usually thought of as having two parts to it. There's emotional monogamy and there's sexual monogamy. In both cases, there's the expectation on the part of both parties in a couple that they will be true to that other person, both sexually and emotionally. Usually for a lifetime in our culture is how we think of that commitment in a marriage situation.
Swingers believe it's possible to combine promiscuity with emotional monogamy, even within a marriage.
Couples that engage in the swinging scene and come to clubs like Couples International are secure in their relationship.
But for many couples, the ability to separate the sexual act from emotional feelings is a foolhardy concept. "43-year-old Donna Shepherd is a swinger and a member of Brian and Lisa's club. Just a month ago, she thought she had a rock-solid, loving relationship.
We had a relationship that I honestly thought could survive anything. It was extremely strong. I thought it was forever.
Today, Donna has little more than memories and photographs of a 16-year relationship. Her partner left her for someone else he met in a swinging lifestyle.
We were together longer than most marriages last.
2.5 years ago, on her 41st birthday, Donna and her life partner decided to go to a swingers club for the first time.
We'd hooked into this whole unexplored world of sexual freedom that it was intoxicating. And sharing that experience, I really believed it was making us stronger.
Instead, as some marriage counselors warn, it was the beginning of the end of their life together.
I don't believe you can have a good marriage or a sound marriage and engage in swinging at the same time. The two concepts are counterproductive to what a good marriage or a healthy marriage is all about.
Now single, Donna wants to warn others of the consequence of sexual experimentation.
If I could say one thing to a couple who has a good relationship, has a strong relationship, who believes that they're strong enough to explore their sexuality together with multiple partners, I'd have to say, be careful what you wish for. There's always a fear when you play with anybody that there's going to be an emotional connection made.
When Donna and her partner started swinging, jealousy entered the relationship.
Jealousy is one of the strongest emotions on the planet. Jealousy makes you insane. It's all-consuming. It eats you up from the inside out, and it drives you nuts. I went from not being jealous, happy, to being almost a basket case.
Even with the consent of both partners, jealousy and feelings of emotional betrayal can be hard to control.
Swinging can involve jealousy. One partner ends up getting hurt. This is very easy in couples where swinging isn't involved. Someone comes into the relationship, something happens to the other partner, and people feel that they're somehow being cut out.
Psychologists believe men and women are affected differently by feelings of jealousy and sexual insecurity.
Men are more threatened by their partner copulating with somebody else, and the actual sex act is what makes them the most jealous. In contrast, women are more jealous by their man potentially falling in love with somebody else and devoting resources to them, because that's the biggest threat to her.
Donna and her partner may have opened up a world of sexual opportunity, but it was at the expense of their own relationship.
I think I stopped putting in the extra emotional effort that the relationship needs. No matter how good your relationship is, that sharing can eat away at people. It can eat away like an acid.
Some argue that diverting attention away from the main relationship will only weaken and even destroy it.
The emotional risks for a couple if they start to swing is that the relationship will break down eventually because energy is leaving the primary relationship and going elsewhere. So that has to weaken what's going on in the relationship with the couple.
Donna blames sexual experimentation for the demise of a relationship she thought was forever.
Nothing is worth what I've lost. So in this instance, I'd have to say I would never have done it. I would never have walked in that door. Because fantasy, sexual freedom, it's not worth the one thing that I've really lost, and that's my happiness.
Yet what is forbidden about love and sex in one culture may be acceptable in another. At Lake Lugu in southwest China, a family offers prayers for a young girl as she waits to become a Moswa woman.
Before today, I couldn't sleep. Then my mother gave me so many beautiful clothes, and I was so happy and excited.
In many other societies, Darshi would be considered a child. Yet at just 13, she is about to enter adulthood, able to choose her own sexual partners and enter into a Moswa walking marriage. As the coming-of-age ceremony begins, a dried pig and a bag of rice are placed on the floor, symbolizing good fortune for the life that lies ahead.
They put their left foot on a bag of rice and the right foot on a dried pig. The rice means a good harvest and a good life, and the pig represents money and prosperity.
As her extended family watches on, Darshi's aunt dresses her. It's the first time the young girl is allowed to wear a skirt and traditional Moswa clothes. Then her father, Suna, gives Darshi an envelope containing a gift of money. Her rite of passage is complete, and she is now a Moswa woman. Boys also undergo a similar adult initiation rite when they become 13.
Until a person is 13, the Moswa believe they don't have a soul. Only then do they become a real person, a real human.
Darshi is now ready for a walking marriage. She has social responsibilities and sexual powers few 13-year-olds in other societies possess.
It's good because it means that now I am an adult.
Jima is happy for her daughter.
I'm very happy to see her grow up and hope she will be healthy and will be successful.
For the first time, Darshi can join in the village festival to celebrate the Moswa goddess. On this day, lovers can also be sought and sexual affairs may begin. At first, men and women keep their distance. But soon the men step out of line, moving closer to the women they're attracted to, and who may hope will be attracted to them.
There are no rules to get partners, no set standards, but he must be a nice guy.
To outsiders, this may look like an innocent tickle by female fingers. Yet a touch from Darshi's hand may be an invitation to a young man to sneak into her bedroom and start a walking marriage. A woman may choose a partner for tonight and then sleep with someone else tomorrow. Darshi has not found a potential lover today, even though promiscuity is acceptable in her society. Though life for the Moswa is changing, relationships are starting to become more monogamous. Suna and Jima have been together for 15 years.
In the past, people had several partners, but the influence of the Han Chinese people has made people more monogamous.
There is added pressure from the Chinese government for the Moswa to fall into line with the rest of the country and embrace monogamous marriage. In the past, the promiscuous ways of the Moswa have led to paternity issues.
In the old days, the tradition was children might not know who their father was. These days are much better. Most children know who their father is.
Though not everything has changed, Moswa society is still very different to much of the world. Moswa couples still live separate lives, and the men still live with their mothers. The arrangement has advantages for both sexes.
It's good. We have more free time during the day, and it causes less friction than if we spent all our time together.
Walking marriages involve less financial entanglements.
The money I earn belongs to my family, and the money my lover owns belongs to her family. Relationships are not connected with money.
Maintaining separate households also makes for less complicated family relationships.
In Moswa society, there's never abandoned women and children, because if my lover and I separate, it has no bearing on the lives of my children or my own life in terms of where I'm living and how many resources or how much money I have access to. Right? I'm still part of my household, the household I've always been a member of.
Outsiders may see walking marriages as encouraging promiscuity. But for the Moswa, these relationships are founded on love and mutual respect.
I wouldn't have anyone stay over unless I love them.
The Moswa may be under pressure from the outside world to change their traditions, but they are still proud of their culture.
The Moswa people here are not very rich compared to foreigners, but they have more in other ways by living with a big family.
For the Moswa, the walking marriage makes sense emotionally and financially. Family ties are still vital, and love is not forbidden, but truly cherished. At a swingers club in Australia, married couple Ray and Tanya Partridge are hoping to meet another couple for sexual intercourse.
Have you seen any yet?
They tell club owners Brian and Lisa about their past sexual experiences and their desire to swap partners.
We've been in about 4 or 5 years. Yep. But we basically stayed together, girl on girl play, bit of, male interaction, but we haven't fully swapped.
That's normal for many couples that are here tonight, who've been in the scene for a very long time. I mean, not everybody, goes the full-on, swap thing.
It's about you two.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt her feelings, he doesn't want to hurt yours. That's all that matters, nothing else.
Even if couples enter the swinging lifestyle with similar expectations, their relationships can become lopsided.
I wouldn't reckon men, unless their relationship was strong and they were open. When I see men pushing their women into it and the women don't want to do it.
Pressures on swinging couples may come from issues of trust and jealousy within the relationship, or they may come from outside, from disapproval and rejection from the wider society. Non-monogamous relationships have often been regarded as a threat to society. Yet throughout history, monogamy hasn't always been the norm. Polygamy, a formal or informal marriage where a man or woman has several spouses, was practiced by ancient Hebrews and is still found in Africa, Asia, and among Papua New Guinea's highland tribes. In northern India, close to Tibet, women can have several husbands, often brothers from the same family. That way, land is kept intact and not split among sons. In fact, only 1/3 of the world's population lives in societies where monogamy is the only legal form of marriage. Even in the US, where polygamy is illegal, some fundamentalist splinter groups of the Mormon Church still practice, or at least sanction, polygamist marriage.
Culture has an enormous influence on what we see as acceptable. In our society today, we regard extramarital affairs as unacceptable. We often regard polygynous relationships, many people pairing with each other repeatedly, as unacceptable. But in other cultures, that wasn't the case.
But Ray and Tanya are still a minority in Western society, where swinging is socially unacceptable. They defy a sexual taboo, and tonight, they've decided it's Lisa and Brian who interest them the most.
That's the exciting bit, is you really don't know until you meet that couple. Should we go find Lisa and see how she feels?
Yeah, sure.
Radio then. Let's go.
Hey guys, how are we? Are you feeling comfortable about going upstairs and having a bit of play, or? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It only takes a few words to move from the dance floor to an open bedroom in the club. For most, having group sex with virtual strangers would be a depraved act. But for these married couples, it's just part of their relationship.
Lisa and I just sort of started playing and like kissing.
The experience for me was sensational. I think the girls really hit it off nice and strong. I was happy to move aside and watch someone else, please my wife, yeah.
Sometimes it gets to that where you don't know whose hand is who. It sort of adds another dimension to things.
Even though his wife is being intimate with another couple, Brian claims to feel no pangs of jealousy.
I really haven't ever felt jealous when Lisa's been playing with others. You know, it's about Lisa and I, and Lisa's always going to be coming home with me.
Tonight, Ray and Tanya did not take their swinging to a new level. They didn't swap partners.
I had a great time with Brian and Lisa, but yeah, I didn't feel a connection, with anyone to actually take that step to do that. The full swap is still in mind. It just didn't happen last night, but you never know what's going to happen, in the future.
While most may judge the swinging lifestyle as unnatural and deviant, there's surprising, controversial evolutionary evidence that humans may not be monogamous creatures.
If you look at the size of male testicles across the primate species, you can plot the degree of monogamy by the size of the testicle. Chimpanzees have very large testicles for their body size because they're polygynous. Everyone mates with everyone, and so you need lots of sperm to compete with the male who was there before you. Gorillas and animals that are much more monogamous have much smaller testicles. Humans are somewhere in between. Humans' testicles are larger than are necessary for purely monogamous relationships.
It's a contested theory, and others argue that humans are influenced more by culture than genetics.
The scientific evidence would suggest that humans are neither monogamous, polygynous, polyandrous, or anything else. Their culture determines what they are. They have a sexual impulse that is biological, that is genetic, and then they have social constraints that come from their culture. And how they act it out is based upon their history, their culture, and everything else. Nothing is natural.
Monogamy is only one type of sexual relationship, and Tanya and Ray say being non-monogamous